settle in close, because this one begins at the very beginning. Not just the beginning of the story, but the beginning of everything. Back when the world was new and wrong and barely dry behind the ears. The rivers were still deciding which way to run. The mountains were still clearing their throats. And the animals, the animals were only just learning what they were supposed to do. The horse had learned to carry. The dog had learned to fetch and guard. The ox had learned to pull great, slow, steady pulls, his broad neck bowed with honest effort. They'd all come to the man, you see, and said in their own way, "Here I am. Tell me what needs doing." And the man had told them, and they had done it. And the world had begun its long hum of work. But there was one creature, one great, shaggy, sand-colored creature, who had not come to the man at all, who had, in fact, gone the other direction entirely. He had walked off into the middle of a wide, hot, honey-colored desert, and there he stayed, eating what he liked, resting when he pleased, looking at his own reflection in whatever puddle he could find, which wasn't many, because it was a desert. That was the camel. And the camel, I'm sorry to tell you, was the laziest creature that had ever drawn breath in the new, young world. Well now, the horse came first, trotted right up to the edge of that desert, all good manners and good intentions, and called out, "Camel, oh camel, the man needs you. Come and trot like the rest of us." And the camel, do you know what he said? He lifted one heavy eyelid, looked down that long, magnificent nose, and said, just that. Not no thank you. Not I'd rather not. Just, like the very idea was beneath discussion. So the horse went back to the man without him. Then the dog came padding across the hot sand, tail low, voice hopeful. "Camel, come and fetch and carry like the rest of us. The world needs doing." Said the camel, not even a glance this time. And then the ox came, slow and patient as only an ox can be, steam rising gently from his great sides. "Camel, come and plow like the rest of us. There is work enough for everyone." Said the camel. "Now I want you to notice something about that word. It sounds lazy even when you say it, doesn't it? All that air pushed out. No real effort. No real engagement with the world. It was the perfect word for a creature who had decided that the world and all its busyness was simply not his concern. But the horse and the dog and the ox were very much concerned. And they went, all three of them together, to find someone who could help. They found the djinn of all deserts, and what a creature he was. He came rolling in like a dust storm that had learned to think, shimmering at the edges, smelling of hot sand and ancient magic, and something just faintly electric. The way the air smells before lightning strikes. The horse spoke first. "Djinn, that camel of yours won't work. He says, 'Humph' to everything we ask." The dog added, "We've been doing his share as well as our own, and it isn't fair. 3 days now. 3 whole days." The ox nodded his great heavy head and said nothing, because oxen know that some things don't need adding to. The djinn listened. He had that quality that the very powerful sometimes have, of being perfectly, unnervingly still. Then he smiled, a slow, warm, dangerous smile, and said, "I'll have a word with your friend the camel." He rolled himself across the desert like a warm wind until he found the camel standing there in the middle of all that golden nothing, admiring himself probably, or possibly just sleeping on his feet the way smug creatures do. "Camel, said the djinn, pleasantly enough. "What's all this I hear about you not doing your share?" And the camel barely opened his eyes. He drew a long, slow, satisfied breath, the breath of someone who has absolutely no intention of changing, and he said, rich and round and deeply unbothered, The djinn's eyes went very bright, and he smiled again, wider this time. "Now, there are words you should be careful about saying to magical beings. Words you should think twice about, 3 times about. Maybe just keep entirely to yourself. Is one of them, as it turns out." The djinn looked at the camel for a long, quiet moment, and then he said, "You've been a great deal too lazy, my friend. You've caused the horse, and the dog, and the ox to do 3 days of your work, while you stood here in this desert, doing nothing but growing more pleased with yourself. That hump you carry around so freely, I think it's time you carried it a little more literally." And he worked his magic, not with a clap or a crack or any great dramatic flourish, because the best magic never needs all that fussing. He simply worked it, quiet and sure, and the camel felt something happening along his back, a rising, a gathering, a great slow swelling up of something that hadn't been there before. He craned his long neck around to look and found, there it was, a hump, a great, beautiful, ridiculous hump, right between his shoulders, made out of the very hump he had been so fond of saying. The djinn leaned in close. "Now you can work for 3 days without eating, because you have your stores right there on your back, and you will go to the man, and you will work. Though I am sorry to say," and here his voice went just a little sad, "you will never quite catch up on those first 3 days you wasted." The camel said nothing this time. Not a single hump. And so the camel went. Out across the sand he walked, that hump swaying gently on his back, tall and proud and still managing somehow to look as though all of this had been entirely his own idea. He joined the horse and the dog and the ox, who looked at him with the particular expression of people who have been proved right, but are too tired to make much of it. And the work of the world went on, the plowing and the fetching and the carrying and the trotting, all of it moving forward together under the wide sky. Now, the hump is still there, as you may have noticed if you've ever stood near a camel. It doesn't go away, and the camel still has that look about him, that long-nosed, heavy-lidded, faintly superior look of a creature who believes the world is slightly beneath his attention. Whether he ever truly learned his lesson, I honestly couldn't tell you. Some lessons sink all the way in. Others just sort of rest on the surface, like that hump rests on his back. What I can tell you is this: those first 3 days he missed are still missing. The world moved on without him, and no amount of magic or pride or magnificent humping can bring them back. So if you're sitting here warm and cozy by this fire tonight, and you have something that wants doing tomorrow, perhaps don't say humph to it. You never quite know who might be listening